Welcome along to the Friday football betting show on Off the Ball. John Duggan here, as always, and thanks to Leon Blanche and Philip Egan for joining me again this week. And this is the show where we're going to try and make you a bit of money on our social channels, on YouTube, on Facebook and on Twitter, or the Off the Ball accounts. Every Friday, 12:30, this is the place if you want to get involved in the discussion around the football markets this week. And we'll preview lots of Premier League action this week. 10 games as always. Manchester United, Manchester City in really good matches this weekend. So never bet more than you can afford. Always gamble responsibly, folks. That's the obvious thing that we have to say to you at the start of the show. And it's for over 18s as well. So lads, how has your week been? Did you enjoy the Champions League?
Yeah, some good games, some good goals, and Spurs being Spurs, John.
Well, yeah, I think we can just. I told you this last week that we could write it off, and you were saying,
well, no, if they'd won, they were back in it. They're still not out of it, but if they'd beaten PSV back to back, they were right back in it.
Yeah,
Hugo Lloris, what?
I know, but he has that in his locker. I just wonder, John, would you want them to finish third and end up going into the Europa League, or?
I want Spurs out of it. I want them out of it. I want them fourth. I want them to lose all their games now, and I want them getting that new stadium in December and just start again.
I don't know, Spurs Arsenal Europa League final. It'd be a good one.
No, guys.
Is it in Azerbaijan this season?
Probably be at Wembley.
But you know what? It was a little bit like same old Spurs. They dominated that game, and I'm sure to come away with a draw felt like a defeat.
Well, I'm looking at the odds here, guys, with BoyleSports. Manchester City 4-1, Barcelona 5-1, Juventus 11-2, Liverpool and Bayern Munich 8-1, PSG 9-1, Real Madrid 10-1, Atletico Madrid at 14-1, Borussia Dortmund and Napoli both 33s, Manchester United 40, Spurs 80s. Forget about Spurs. Phil, if you were going to pick a winner right now, who would you be predicting to win the Champions League?
At the moment, City looks so good, but I noticed Real Madrid were a decent price there, but like Real Madrid, remember last season when they got drawn against PSG? Everyone thought, that's Real Madrid gone, and then they beat them. They go on and win 3 in a row. You don't know what state Real Madrid will be in the new year when the knockout stage comes around. So they're always worth the fact that they've won 3 in a row.
A new manager.
They probably have a new manager. They could have new players because you can't be cup tied anymore. You can play in the Champions League for 2 clubs now with the new rules. So they could recruit in January if they want. They will have a new manager. Even if Lopetegui wins the Clasico this weekend, he's gone. It's just a case of...
The worst gamble, Leon, this is a gambling show. The worst gamble in the history of football. Lopetegui throwing Spain away to manage Real Madrid, and he's probably not going to last till Christmas.
Yeah, it's how not to make a move.
Risk management, Leon. We're in the business here of risk management.
When you're quite comfortable with your national side, you've done a tremendous job. You're going places, and now you look as if you're going to be able to... Listen, he'll be back in work anyway, there's no doubt about that. But I still stick with Barcelona, and the reason being...
5-1.
Yeah, and Messi, Suarez not getting any younger, Coutinho pulling the strings. I just have a feeling it could be Barcelona's year this year. I don't think Real Madrid, even if I hear what Phil is saying, maybe a new manager, maybe a couple of new players, and their pedigree, having won the last 3, would suggest that they'll know how to get it done when it comes knockout. But 4 in a row, wow, that would be remarkable. I'm sticking with their arch rivals, Barca. I think they might do it this year.
Atletico Madrid Stadium, the Wanda Metropolitano, that's where the Champions League final will be held in 2019. Folks, get in touch with your comments, your predictions. What's going to win this weekend? Who's going to win? Over the next half hour on our social channels, on YouTube, on Facebook and on Twitter at Off the Ball here on the Friday Football Betting Show. Before we get to the Hall of Shame, apart from me of course, let's discover the BoyleSports offers of the week.
The Friday Football Betting Show.
Thanks to the BoyleSports Bet Builder. Combine multiple selections into one single bet at one great price. Try it today at offtheball.com/BoyleSports.
Now, Leon Blanche, what he got for us this week? The first one, Leicester City against West Ham United in the 5:30 kickoff tomorrow. We had Leicester to win, was 11-10, now 2-1.
Yeah, now 2-1, John. I think, like, looking at Leicester, Arsenal were exceptional in the second half, but Leicester should have had a penalty. They missed 1 or 2 chances. They could have been well up against Arsenal in that first half. They're at home. West Ham were a tricky team, however, but Phil, obviously, and myself have talked about Arnautovic quite a lot on this show. He is a match winner on his day. Interesting to see Declan Rice away from home again. But I think Vardy, he is suffering a little bit of a World Cup hangover.
What was this about Vardy's
Stomach, yeah.
or his girlfriend? Was it a Klopp who held?
No, he had to leave the pitch on Monday because the stomach got him. You know, we've all been there where you're thinking, oh, I need the bathroom. And
there was no tweets being liked. I thought I heard a story about tweets being liked or not liked during the week.
Oh, yeah. Like, sometimes, actually only happened to me yesterday. I was scrolling down on my phone and I liked the tweet, which I didn't mean to. It does happen.
It does happen.
I know people. I remember Antonio Valencia got in trouble a few weeks ago with that on Instagram, where he liked something about.
He liked some Mourinho being replaced or Mourinho the next manager to leave.
Yeah,
but
you got to be careful with your.
I think that's a very decent offer. Leicester at home 2-1 from 11 to 10. They played well against Arsenal. Second half not so good, but at home, yeah, I fancy them.
Yeah, West Ham. No Yarmolenko. He's gone now 6 months.
Yeah, that was the poor guy.
Yeah, Felipe Anderson.
Lucky, hasn't he, with injuries?
Yeah, like even you mentioned Arnautovic. He's not fully fit. He still caused Spurs enough problems last week that, you know, if he's on his game, he can definitely cause Leicester problems. But Felipe Anderson, when he's good, he's good. The problem is he hasn't been consistent yet. So it'd be interesting to see what Pellegrini does with his team. But Leicester are that kind of team. On their day, they're going to win a lot of games. They're going to create chances. They're going to concede goals. So you'd kind of lean towards them. But it's a year now since Claude Puel is there, and to be honest, there's been stages in that year where he's been very close to getting the sack.
Okay, so let's look at the second offer here now. Chelsea, Arsenal and Manchester United all to win. Chelsea away to Burnley, Arsenal going to Crystal Palace, United hosting Everton, all on Sunday. Was 3-1, now 9-2, Leon.
Yeah, look, Chelsea away against Burnley. It can be a tricky game away. Sean Dyche will have them well drilled. The big question for Chelsea is, will Hazard be okay? Sarri said he has a back problem. Arsenal away against Crystal Palace. Palace at the moment, to me, John, they look to be going in reverse.
Roy's in trouble.
Roy is in trouble.
Roy's looking glum.
Well,
he's looking forlorn.
Well, he's always looking forlorn. It was a remarkable job last year, the job he did to keep them up. But I have my worries about Palace this year, so I do fancy Arsenal going for a 12th win in a row. And the last part was...
It was United.
United against Everton. Even though United were lacklustre against Juventus, Everton are no Juve. They're not even close to being a Juve. And I think if United replicate the performance away against Chelsea, they'll have enough to see off Everton. So again, that's a decent treble.
So 3-1 into 9-2 with that one. And the final BoyleSports offer this week, Kane or Aguero to score first. This is in the Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester City match on Monday night. Leon, was 7-4, now 5-2.
Yeah, look, obviously the two main men for both respective teams, Harry Kane and Sergio Aguero, you'd imagine both of them will start. Jesus got his game, didn't he, in the Champions League? So you'd imagine Pep will revert back to Sergio Aguero. Very decent enhancement. You'd be looking at either of those guys as the main threat for both teams. And of course, John, we're still going with the best offer in the industry. Bet 10, get up to €50 worth of free bets. So have your free tenner and then you'll have 50 quid worth of free bets.
Kane or Aguero to score first. It looks like a decent enough...
No penalty takers.
Yeah.
Well, I presume Aguero's on penalties because Mahrez won't be taking one.
Well, yeah. I was there. I was at actually the Liverpool City game. I'd never seen... That was the biggest roar of the game, was when Mahrez messed that up. And all that money they spent on Mahrez...
He's been very good though lately.
Yeah, but they need to go in.
Yeah.
Like if it was 1 or 2 points in the title, I don't think there will be. But
I think, John, that was kind of Pep. Because it was definitely Pep who said he's taking it. Almost... He's my man, I've spent the money, I want to show you why I've spent the money, let him score this winner in front of the City fans. Was there a bit of that?
Possibly, yeah, possibly. I just felt that you got to get these things. In such a game of such magnitude, these have to go in.
Yeah, Jesus had played so well when he came on at Anfield that he probably would have stuck it away.
Yeah. Okay, last week's bets, right? We had one winner last week from the whole panel of experts. Let's see what we had. Come on, let's see what we had. Oh, it was me. Cardiff to beat Fulham at 6-4. Second week in a row. I presented the show twice. I've given you its winners twice. Now let's see if we can make it a hat trick this week. Cardiff beat Fulham, the biggest banker in history.
It was not.
You nailed it though, JD.
4-2 at 6-4. I'd seen them at Spurs and Cardiff to beat Fulham, so I've been in a smug mood all week now because of that. That was the one. No, let's not get to that yet. That's this week's bet. But what did you have, Phil? You said Manchester City, Liverpool, Everton and Arsenal would all win. They did, but Newcastle lost at home to Brighton, so your five-timer went up in flames.
Yeah, I was, by 4:45 on Saturday afternoon, I was thinking that was a bad error. And I wouldn't mind when Glenn Murray went off, which was a bad injury. I thought,
a rabble. Newcastle are a rabble, Phil.
I just thought, right, no Glenn Murray, Brighton aren't going to score. But Newcastle played well, but they let me down, unfortunately.
Kevin Kilban said that Wolves and Fulham would win as part of his treble. You're never going to get that bet with tipping Fulham away to Cardiff. They both lost. No wonder he's not here to show his face. And Leon Blanche, your treble consisted of Arsenal and Everton to win, but also Wolves, sadly, who lost at home to Watford. That was a bit of a surprise result, to be fair.
A couple of minutes of madness. I mean, they hadn't conceded in a long time at home, and then they conceded 2 goals in, like, what was it, less than 3 minutes or something.
First league defeat at home since January.
Yeah.
Is that the way with promoted clubs, that they can be a little bit inconsistent that way?
Yeah, and Wolves, as good as they're playing, they're not scoring that many goals. So you kind of felt once Watford were 2-0 up, that was it. There was no way back for Wolves. Okay, I know they scored 2 goals against Everton on the opening weekend at Molineux, but they don't tend to score that many goals.
Yeah. Well, you're feeling the heat, guys, I'd hope. You got to pull your socks up now this week.
A few Hail Marys in there.
Yeah, I'm sure you've said your prayers. So just before we get to the previews, let's just take a look at what we have here now. Oh, Tottenham to beat Manchester City. I think that's the second time that's come up on the screen. So I think everybody now knows that the game is up in terms of what I'm doing.
With the heart.
That is a bet with the heart, but we'll come to that later. Get your betting predictions in for this weekend. Give us some wisdom on our Off the Ball social channels, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. Do you have a brilliant bet up your sleeve for this weekend? Let's get to this weekend's action, folks. Liverpool have the chance to go top of the table tomorrow. They play Cardiff City at Anfield. The Reds 9-1 on with BoyleSports. Cardiff 25-1. Neil Warnock has said it's virtually impossible for Cardiff to win this game. Look, he's telling the truth, and the draw is 15-2. I was looking at the stats here, lads. Liverpool have only lost 1 of their last 45 Premier League games against promoted teams. They've won all 7 under Jurgen Klopp at Anfield by an aggregate score of 21-2. Phil, the Fab 3, Salah, Mane and Firmino all scoring during the week. Does that give the Liverpool fans some encouragement?
Yeah, like Salah, his 50th goal in 65 games, incredible. Like the fastest player to reach that milestone at Liverpool, and all this talk of him not being the same. Like, this is what happened last season. He started off slowly, missed chances, and then it all sparked into life. Seemed to kind of coincide with when he smashed that penalty in to send Egypt to the World Cup. He came back and he was buzzing because he knew he'd be playing in a World Cup. And I think Shaqiri was very impressive the other night. And I know we're doing the game on Premier League Live
Today FM tomorrow, yeah.
And I know Brian Kerr is in the
barreler,
so he will love to see Shaqiri starting. And I think
do Brian bingo on it, Phil.
Shaqiri is a much better option to start games. Like, I don't agree with starting Daniel Sturridge for games. He started him last week away at Huddersfield. He doesn't have 90 minutes in him. He's a substitute. He's a great lad to pull off the bench and score you a goal like he did at Chelsea. Fabinho was a real positive the other night as well. Okay, it was only Red Star Belgrade, but this is the player now that Klopp has said could make a huge difference. He is constantly being in the player's ear, saying to him, look, you're not ready. He doesn't just leave him on the bench and just doesn't. Every time he leaves him out, he explains to him why I'm not putting you in. I think now we're going to see him, and we probably see him tomorrow as well. He is definitely a huge upgrade on Jordan Henderson.
You're a red, Leon. Are you happy at the moment?
Yeah, I'm happy. I think you'd have to be happy. I think the keeper just gives you that much security behind the back four, who've been exceptional. I still think Van Dijk and Gomez is my preferred centre-half pairing. Trent came back in right full against Red Star. He'd probably play against Cardiff as well. Big game. I'm not skipping a game, but Saturday week away to Arsenal is a huge game. But you'd have to be happy with Liverpool. I saw a stat: the front three have scored 3 more goals at this stage of the season between them than they did this current time last year. So there's no need to worry. I agree with everything Phil has said. Shaqiri, in these games especially against lesser opposition who are going to try and park the bus, he's that link man who can find the pass to Robertson for the first goal to set up Firmino, and then the touch to Salah on Wednesday night was exceptional. So, and I do agree that Sturridge is not your starter. last week was probably a little bit different because he started Shaqiri and Sturridge because of the problems with the injuries.
Yeah.
But yeah, Liverpool are going along nicely, John, and I think they'll put a little bit of pressure before City play Spurs on Monday night. They will beat Cardiff. It's only about
okay. So you're a punter. Okay, 9-1 on. You're not going to be backing a 9-1 on unless you got $100,000.
No.
And you got it to spare. And I don't think many people who've got sanity would do that.
Yes.
So what do you do? Do you look for like first goal scorer? Do you look for the like the winning margin? How do you look for an edge on a market like this?
Yeah, probably you look at bets like Liverpool to win, both teams not to score. I think you look at Liverpool -1 or -2. And then, of course, if you're looking at a little first goal scorer bet, I would stick with Salah because he, to me now, was getting in positions again. And he has been getting in positions, even though he hasn't been finishing as well as he had in the latter half of last season. But he's up and running. His finish on Wednesday night with the right foot was exceptional. Yes, the keeper made it a bit easy when he dived down, but they're the type of bets you'd have, John. No one in the right frame of mind wants to back a team. Liverpool have actually gone 1-10. Cardiff are now 28-1. So nobody in the right frame of mind. If you have 10, you don't need the 1. So I would
don't back Cardiff, folks. Do not back Cardiff. Don't back Cardiff at 28-1. It sounds great. Don't do it.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Liverpool will win. They'll win comfortably. Maybe Salah for first goal.
Okay, 1:30 on Sunday, Chelsea going to Burnley. The odds for this match at Turf Moor with thanks to BoyleSports. Burnley 9-1 on. 9-1 rather. That's the biggest Freudian slip of all time. 9-1 Burnley, so nearly 10-1. The draw 7-2. Chelsea are odds on. They're 3-1 on. Well, I was thinking about Burnley, Phil. I always thought Burnley had a good record at home, and they're 9-1 against Chelsea. Is this a reflection of the way they've dipped this season?
Yeah, they don't have a great record against Chelsea apart from the opening day or the opening weekend of last season when they stunned them at Stamford Bridge. But they don't have a good record against the bigger clubs either at Turf Moor. Now, you get a tough game and it's a tough battle, but ultimately the bigger teams tend to come away with 3 points. It'll be interesting to see what he does. Sarri, does he go with Giroud or Morata? He went with Morata last week against United. Pointless. Like playing without a striker because his confidence is low. If there is a hint of any contact from a defender, he's down rolling around on the ground, whereas Giroud, at least he has a bit of physicality. Okay, Giroud doesn't score goals, but at least he's a link man for Hazard. And I just think, I know he started Giroud in the Europa League. He's got to go with Giroud, especially against Burnley.
Leon, when you see a game like Manchester United-Chelsea last weekend and Barkley scores, I think, the 96th minute, how much does that change a betting market and an industry and all the money flowing one way or the other?
Yeah,
it must be really significant.
Yeah, look, United were so short. I think they were something like, going into the 89th minute, they were something like 1-16, I think I saw. So look, Chelsea were obviously a huge price, even in terms of getting the draw. The draw was a big enough price too. But look,
was it better for the bookmakers that Chelsea equalised? Or did you
yes, absolutely.
United liabilities?
No, all the money really last week, John, was on a Chelsea home win.
Right.
I don't think anyone expected United to go there and win. So the draw in most games, John, would be a good result for bookmakers. No one really wants to back a draw. Everybody wants to back either the home or the away side. So yeah, great result for us. But I think if Hazard doesn't play, this could become a tricky game.
9-1, but even the draw is 7-2.
Yeah, maybe if Hazard doesn't play, you look at maybe Burnley draw no bet. You know, I just think Hazard is so pivotal to Chelsea. I was disgusted with Alonso last week.
It was pathetic.
I mean, he lay on the ground in his own box, having not been touched, and United scored because of it. And now he's just signed a new 5-year contract. I mean, I don't know what type of defender would ever do that, John. I mean, no one touched him. I think he was hoping that lying on the ground, the referee would stop it.
Yeah.
But like,
it was awful. Like,
you've got to question him.
I'd hope one of his teammates absolutely went through him after the game and said, "What were you doing? You cost us a goal there."
Yeah.
Because Martial is standing right beside him when he knocks in the equaliser. And then that changed the whole game because Chelsea were in control, 1-0 up. As soon as United score, what you've seen with United this season in particular, if they get a goal and they get their tails up, they can actually strike when the iron's hot and bang in a few goals. Like most of the time we see them, they're lethargic. But yeah, Alonso, I thought it was disgraceful, but not much was said about it.
No. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, can he flourish into this Chelsea team?
Doesn't look like it.
No?
Like, where would you fit him in, John? So
even after last night, or does that matter? It's just Europa League.
It's Europa League, but in fairness to the kid, he got a hat-trick, but you've got Kante, you've got
Jorginho, and then it's between Kovacic and Barkley. So he's down. He's third in that. It's basically Jorginho and Kante are playing every week for the big games, and it's either going to be Kovacic or Barkley, and then Loftus-Cheek comes in.
Verdicts on Burnley against Chelsea?
It depends on Hazard, but I would imagine Chelsea will be able to nick, like, probably just a win by the odd goal.
I think if Hazard doesn't play, Burnley might nick a point.
Chelsea odds on 3-1 on in this one.
Wait for the team news.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Always wait for the team news, folks, in football. I think that's crucial. 1:30 as well on Sunday. Crystal Palace against Arsenal at Selhurst Park. Let's look at the BoyleSports odds for this one. 3-1 Palace, 5-4 on Arsenal. So odds on going for, I think, a 12th win in all competitions in a row. The draw 14-5. Phil, Arsenal played the old Arsenal way. Beautiful football. Even I, as a Spurs fan, could appreciate it the other night.
It was unbelievable.
It was
the
just
second half.
Yeah. Mesut Ozil.
Yeah. See, the thing about Mesut Ozil is what he can do is superb, but a lot of the time the focus is on what he can't do. He can't track back. His body language is bad. If you play him in that system now as the number 10, just in behind Lacazette, because there was a while there where Ramsey was playing in that role, but Ramsey was left on the bench last Monday. Play Ozil in that position, and that's where you'll get the best out of him. Obviously, the equaliser probably gave him a bit of confidence. The touch for the second goal, it was breathtaking. We were all here in the office on Monday. We were all just sitting around applauding. It was like, that is the old Arsenal.
Yeah,
those kind of goals.
That's why we watch football, isn't it?
Yeah.
Leon, this interests me, right? The Europa League, you've got teams gone away from home. They went to Lisbon and they won last night.
Yeah.
And then they're playing then that weekend. Do you see a negative effect, like in a market or a betting market, that punters will actually pick up on the opposing team that weekend domestically for a team that's gone away to the Europa League and maybe might have a hard game? Does it actually impact markets? And do you see the trends of that?
Well, I think looking at Arsenal, John, it hasn't impacted them because they're on such a good run. So they've been able to win in Europe, come back to the Premier League and get the job done. And like when you look at Danny Welbeck last night, how much he celebrated that goal. It's they're playing for their manager. They are putting in an extraordinary amount of effort. I think on the Jamie Carragher highlighted Arsenal were number 1 for sprints and number 1 for closing down. So they are trying for this manager, and I give him a lot of credit because he came in for a lot of criticism after they got beaten by Manchester City. He wanted the goalkeeper to play out from the back. He stuck to his guns. They should have beat Chelsea. They would be going for 13 in a row this weekend. They had enough chances to beat Chelsea. So a lot of credit to the manager, but also a lot of credit to the players. They've bought into his system. I think they'll beat Palace. I think, Aubameyang coming off the bench, he's not sulking. He came off the bench and got 2. Lacazette is on fire. There seems to be a good camaraderie within the Arsenal squad at the moment. So for me, they'll go to Palace and win.
5-4 on Philip Egan. Would you agree with Leon that Arsenal win on Sunday?
Yeah, you'd fancy. Palace just can't score goals at the moment, and then we'll see what Arsenal are made of next week when they play Liverpool.
Get your betting predictions in this weekend, folks. What you see in the markets, who's going to win and why. Get your comments into Off the Ball on Twitter, on YouTube and on Facebook, and we'll read them out, and we'll definitely give you a shout out if you can give us a winner. Obviously we're trying to give you the winners, but obviously I will. 4 o'clock on Sunday, Manchester United against Everton at Old Trafford. Let's see the BoyleSports odds for this one. 10-7 on Manchester United. Everton 4-1, the draw 13-5. Phil, I think there was something symbolic about 1999, Man United beating Juventus in the Champions League semi-final compared to the other night. Cristiano Ronaldo coming back to Manchester and a timid second best display by Man United.
Yeah, just basically sat back and said to Juventus, yeah, here you go. And the night started off badly again. There was issues with the bus. Jose Mourinho walks to the stadium. But just the comments after the game were, funnily enough, actually, Victor Lindelof, probably the best game he's played for United.
Yeah. Very good.
Do you think Jose Mourinho will come out and say that? No. Instead, he goes and basically tries to send the message to Ed Woodward. I think what Chiellini and Bonucci did, was a masterclass in defending. And the problem United have with Jose Mourinho is it just seems like it's all about him. Does he actually have the club's interest at heart? I don't think so. He is just in it for himself. So I just don't see what United are going to achieve with Mourinho still there.
But how does that impact on the Everton game then?
Yeah, but you know what? You probably couldn't have picked a better side for United to play.
Why?
Everton have a dreadful record against Manchester United. I think it's 7 or 8 games.
Yeah, the United have won 4 and drawn the last 2 of the last 6 Premier League games.
So and Everton, even though they've won a couple of games, you would still fancy United at home. The one thing I'd worry about United is their goal difference. I don't know whether it's 0 or -1.
Yeah.
So that's terrible.
Below freezing.
Yeah, but like they concede goals.
16 goals De Gea has conceded already.
And he's off to Juventus.
In 9 games.
If you believe the papers.
Well, that's a lot of goals, but I think the problem is, again, if Everton have a belief, if they actually go to Old Trafford and have a go at United, you might reap some dividends. But I don't think they will. I think they'll be quite negative. They might just try and sit in and try and contain United and ask United to come at them. I just think, John, United, they might just get over the line here. I don't think it'll be an easy victory, but I think they'll be good enough to beat Everton.
He named the same team against Juventus that started against Chelsea. He's going to make changes, and the big concern for
Lukaku, of course, recently.
Matic has been awful
as well. Lukaku hasn't scored in 8.
Yeah.
And Matic.
It's probably time you drop.
Matic has. I don't see how Matic is staying in that team. You've got Fred, who cost 50 million, whatever about the price tag. He just give you a bit more energy. Matic, he's 30, not long ago, but he looks absolutely knackered at the moment. Just give him a rest and bring in Fred. The thing about Lukaku is he always plays him.
Yeah.
When Martial didn't have a good game the other night, and he drops Martial so often when he doesn't play a good game. Rashford, he sometimes moves him in and out of positions. Lukaku can have a stinker and he still starts. Like, what message does that send out to the other players? Plus, Lukaku's confidence is rock bottom.
If there's one team he'd like to score against, is Everton, his former team. What is your assessment on Everton at the moment? Playing well.
Like
I can see a but here in your
They're
expression.
a bit easier on the eye. Like Marco Silva got a lot of credit for the impact the subs had against Crystal Palace. We could be having a different conversation if Jordan Pickford's foot doesn't save that penalty from Milivojevic. But they're building. I think Bernard is a welcome addition. Richarlison seems to be playing in the centre. For all the money they've spent, they don't have a top striker, and they're still I still worry about them a little bit at the back. But I think Everton fans are very happy with how things have gone under Marco Silva, because they're playing Brighton next weekend, and I think back to they played Brighton back in March, and the difference in the football, like it was a routine win under Sam Allardyce, but it was awful. Like, Everton fans are now getting out of their seats, they're getting up, they're being entertained, and that's all they wanted. They're not.
Verdict.
I still think United will win, and you're wondering why the players are dragging out some performances. Certain players are coming up at moments, and that is what's getting results for United. But I don't give much of the credit to Jose Mourinho.
Well, the big game of the weekend, folks, is on Monday night. It's at Wembley, a cut at Wembley after this NFL game. Manchester City, the champions, going to play Tottenham Hotspur. With BoyleSports, the odds, the champions 4-3 on. Spurs, a shade over 3-1 at 16-5. And the draw is 3-1. And Spurs, despite only being 2 points behind City in the table, are fifth in the table, which just shows how congested it is at the top. But Phil, a cut at Wembley following an NFL weekend, could that have an impact in this match?
I'm thinking to that Wembley pitch already. It's been talked about this season. Remember the Joshua and Povetkin heavyweight title fight? Then they played Barcelona. The pitch looked terrible. Then it still wasn't great. I know you were at the Spurs and Cardiff game, just around the middle where the
atmosphere was more of the issue there. I think, the day.
So, but NFL is going to do a lot more damage, because at least with the Joshua and Povetkin fight, the pitch is covered. Whereas the gridiron, there's going to be the markings on it, a lot of big units on that pitch on Sunday. I wonder will it suit Spurs? But City they've just gone up a few notches in the last few weeks. De Bruyne is back. Bernardo Silva's in great form.
In the middle.
Mahrez is playing well. I just find it hard to see how Spurs are going to win this game.
Leon, do you see punters? I mean, Manchester City had 100 points last season. I think they're 3-4 on against Spurs. Do you see lots of big punters wading in on Manchester City because they know that generally they're going to be on the right side of the result?
Yeah, absolutely. And they've even shortened now. They're 11-8 on. Spurs have drifted out to 7-2, and the draw is a 3-1 chance. I agree with Phil. I think City are just starting to click into another gear. And De Bruyne coming back, to me, he's one of the most enjoyable footballers to watch. He's just his amount of his passing is just phenomenal. He can put a ball anywhere, John. And I think with Bernardo Silva, he stepped up onto a different level. David Silva, you've got Mahrez, you've got Sterling, you've got Sané, you've got Aguero. Fernandinho is still key though. If he gets an injury, I'd worry. I do not think in the current Manchester City squad they have a replacement for Fernandinho. So for me, with all the flair players, yes, but I think he's pivotal. If he gets hurt, they're talking about John Stones stepping in there, wouldn't even come close to the job that Fernandinho does. But I have a feeling Tottenham at home, I think the pitch will suit Spurs, because City are all about keeping it on the deck. And the NFL game the day before will definitely cut up Wembley. But Spurs are a big price, 7-2 at home. And Wembley is a good ground for Spurs. They don't get beaten.
Well, they've only lost 2 of their last 21 Premier League matches there.
Yeah.
But City, on the other hand, unbeaten in their last 6 Premier League games in London. So something has to give here, lads.
Something has to give.
Although City were one of those teams that did win there.
The draw is a big price, John, at 3-1.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a big price for a draw. A draw is normally always in around the 9-4, 5-2 mark. So you're getting 3-1. I'm sure the neutrals, that is the Liverpool fans, would be happy with at least a share of the spoils. So City could drop a couple of points. But the way City are playing, it does look as if they're worthy favourites at 11-8 on, and that's why they've been backed. But certainly, to answer your first question, lads just come in most weeks and just back City, especially when they're away from home.
Also as well in multiples as well.
Yes,
it's a huge thing.
They're always a part of accumulators, always.
The shoulder games, folks, this weekend, with thanks to BoyleSports. Let's look at the odds of the other matches, the other 5 matches in the Premier League, not involving the bigger clubs. So tomorrow at 3 o'clock, we've got Brighton versus Wolves at the Amex Stadium. Brighton 21-10, Wolves 29-20. The draw is 2-1. Fulham against Bournemouth at Craven Cottage. Fulham 9-5, Bournemouth 13-10. The draw is 13-5. Southampton against Newcastle at St Mary's. Southampton 21-20, Newcastle 14-5. The draw is 11-5. Watford Huddersfield at Vicarage Road. Watford 11-8 on. Huddersfield 15-4. The draw is 13-5. And then the 5:30 kickoff tomorrow. We've already touched upon this in a little bit of detail. Leicester City versus West Ham at the King Power Stadium. Leicester 21-20. West Ham 13-5. The draw 23-10. Leon Blanche, what are you noticing in terms of market moves? What's being backed? What the trends are this weekend in these other matches?
Watford are getting backed at home against Huddersfield. I was impressed with Huddersfield against Liverpool. To be fair to them, they showed a lot of energy, they showed a lot of fight, but they've no goals. They just cannot score, whereas Watford have got goals in them. So I'd fancy Watford to see off Huddersfield. And the other side that's been back to Southampton at home against Newcastle. I thought everyone expected Newcastle to finally get a victory at home against Brighton. They played well, Phil, but I worry
Shelby
about them.
Good, yeah.
Shelby was good, but I worry about them scoring goals. And I think in Danny Ings, Southampton have got a match winner. So they're the 2 home teams, Watford and Southampton.
You're seeing trends about.
Have both been backed to win at home this weekend, yeah.
Okay, Phil, for the form book perspective, or what you're noticing, which teams are trending in the right direction, which teams are not, of those other 5 matches, those shoulder games this weekend?
The Fulham-Bournemouth game is interesting for me because Fulham are doing what Bournemouth did when they came up to the Premier League. They didn't change their style. Eddie Howe was criticised. I remember they got a few hidings. Spurs and City gave them a few hidings and everyone said, no, Eddie, you have to be more pragmatic. You can't play this way. And that's exactly what Fulham are doing under Jokanovic. But the problem is Eddie Howe, his job was never at risk at Bournemouth. Fulham could pull the trigger on Jokanovic because they're just leaking so many goals.
They've also got 600 million to spend.
Yeah, so they, yeah, exactly.
If you get it.
Yeah, and yeah, it's an attractive job. You know, if somebody says, right, we have a Premier League team, you've got funds, they've got some really good players, but they're just conceding too many goals. Like, concede 4 goals. If you're conceding 4 goals against Cardiff, I know you were delighted Cardiff won, but the goals Fulham gave away against
some of the defending Phil is
So what are you saying to me?
I'm thinking that Fulham are going to continue with the style they play, but I'm just not sure Jokanovic is going to be given the time that Eddie Howe was. So I think we could be looking at a managerial casualty in the next few weeks. There's a few
sack race. Do you have any off the top of your head?
Like Roy Hodgson has to be in that.
Let you see.
Yeah, no, I know Jose for a long time was favourite, but he's not anymore. The favourite currently is Benitez.
Yeah.
In terms of,
and that'll be just Benitez going himself.
Well, that's
possibly
what it is, John. And actually, the market is to leave their post first. So that could be him resigning or him getting sacked.
That's that is an important distinction.
It is, because you don't have to get sacked. It's first manager to leave their post.
Okay, before we go, folks, let's check the expert panel's bets this week. Now, unfortunately, the biggest secret in Ireland is out, and it's been out twice in the show through the gremlins of technology. Oh, here it is again. Tottenham Hotspur to beat Manchester City on Monday. We know what's going to happen. We know there's going to be a reaction here. We know that 7-2, as Leon has said, the fact that they put it on the screen has changed the price, but it's actually changed the price out, which is probably a reflection of people's confidence in me and confidence in Spurs. But yeah, I just think Tottenham are a good team. They've been playing well in the league. They have the players. I remember seeing them a couple of years ago and they battered City in the first half 1-2-0. Now, Dele Alli was great that day. He's not there today. But Spurs are capable of beating anybody on their day. I know you disagree with me, Phil, but there is a rationale at the price at 7-2. Yeah. I think Spurs should probably be about 2-1 at home.
What team will he go with? Lamella's in good form. Mora has to play.
Eriksen has to play.
Yeah, so
Eriksen will play.
That's it. Because I thought he got his team selection wrong against Liverpool, but Harry Winks was part of that team. He wasn't fit. Harry Winks is fit now. Been impressed with him.
He's just too tidy, Harry Winks, though.
Well, would you play with the kind of two holders in front of your back four?
I think the problem with Spurs often is the holders. I don't think they're strong enough.
Yeah. Would you play Dembele?
Yeah, I'd have Dembele over Dyer.
Yeah. And I think
the defence needs protection though. That's why Dyer is there, because players like David Silva, if Bernardo Silva plays, they just get into that space, and if you give those lads space, they can just pick a ball, and Aguero, or if it's Sterling coming in off the wing, or
but the way to beat City is to go at them.
Yeah, that is like the Liverpool way, or the way as I saw two years ago when Spurs just had so much energy.
Yeah, because you have to go at them, John, because if you even try and sit back against City, they will just pick you apart.
No, the first 20 minutes will determine if it's like if it's goalless or if City have just quietened it all down. I think we can see what's going to happen there. But look, it is a bit of head and heart, folks. It is a bit of head and heart. Philip Egan, let's see, can we get this on the screen, what you've selected this week? Philip Egan, Liverpool to win at 9-1 on, Manchester United to win at 10-7 on, and Manchester City to win at 3-4. So 4-3 on, 3-1. Phil,
it's just, do you know what it is? It's just like an upward curve. So Liverpool get the job done at 3 o'clock tomorrow. You're thinking 1 down. Then you can sit down on Sunday 4 o'clock. United struggle over the line against Everton, and you're thinking 2 out of 2. Sets it all up for Monday. You'll be cheering on Spurs. I'll be going for City to get the bet up.
Phil, so what you're telling me here, Phil, and you're telling Leon Blanche here from BoyleSports that you're going to just park your whole weekend to see this bet build until Monday night. You're just going to get everything out of the way to see this bet to redeem your reputation at 3-1.
Yeah. Now I tell you, if Cardiff get a result at Anfield, it's ruined the weekend, and it's not even
virtually impossible. Neil Warnock says. Kevin Kilban, he's never here because, well, he's a great man, but he's given us a double this week. Leicester to win. That's against West Ham at 21-10, and Fulham to win at home.
He loves Fulham.
He loves Fulham. Yeah. It's finally going to click for him.
Yeah, as the people always say to me on Twitter, as top clock is right twice a day. 9-5 Fulham. So the Dolly Parton bet 9-5, 5-1. The double there, lads. What do you think?
I fancy Leicester at home.
Yeah, Fulham.
There's going to be a lot of goals in that Fulham Bournemouth game, so
I worry for Fulham because that could set up for Bournemouth. Yeah. They've got a lot of pace on the counter.
But the way these things work, look, I'll be right one week. You know, we have a joke about it, but you'll be right, and Kevin will be right. So, Leon Blanche, you picked a treble this week. What do we have? We got Watford to win. I think you said already. You saw a bit of money for that 11-8 on. Southampton to maybe get Benitez out of that job at Newcastle to win at 21-20, and then Arsenal to win against Palace at 9-5.
I fancy Watford, John, at home to Huddersfield. I think they're quite good enough to get 3 points at home. Southampton probably going to be the tightest game, I would imagine, because the one thing about Benitez is they don't concede a lot of goals. They don't score a lot, but they don't concede. But I just like Danny Ings. I think he is a goal scorer, and I really do fancy Arsenal. I like the way Arsenal are at the minute. I hope they win, because that'll take them unbeaten into the Liverpool game Saturday week, and something has to give. But I think Arsenal will win. I think they're quite capable of beating Palace. I worry about Palace at the moment. They haven't really kicked on from last year. They haven't really signed anyone of note. They did keep Wilfried Zaha, which was a big plus.
There's only so much he can do.
Exactly. I mean, he can't carry the team all the time. Yeah. So I'd fancy Arsenal.
The Watford-Huddersfield game, that is, I remember last season, I think for my last man standing, I picked Watford at home to Huddersfield. Huddersfield won 4-1.
Not going to happen
just
this
a
weekend.
Freak result.
Yeah, but you do get freak results. Burnley-Bournemouth was a recent one.
Burnley-Bournemouth, even the Watford-Bournemouth game, 4-0 to Bournemouth.
4-0 to Bournemouth. Yeah.
There is, like, Watford are that kind of team where...
They had a man sent off, but still they were quite poor, weren't they? Yeah.
Leon, Phil, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back next Friday at 12:30 on the Friday Football Betting Show. Please gamble responsibly, folks. It is a bit of fun. Never bet more than you can afford. But lots of good offers there and lots of good bets. So we'll put them up on the social channels on Off the Ball, on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Back next Friday for the Friday Football Betting Show. I've been John Duggan, and it's at 12:30 again next Friday. See you then. Thanks for that.
The Friday Football Betting Show.
Thanks to the BoyleSports Bet Builder. Combine multiple selections into one single bet at one great price. Try it today at offtheball.com/BoyleSports.